What if I told you that one of the most beloved leading men in Hollywood history was a boy who was forced to wear a dress in public and made to answer to the name Louise? What if I told you that a man who oozed effortless charm on screen was a decorated Korean War infantryman who got shot by his own side's fighter jets and then waited 32 years for the military to acknowledge it? His name was James Garner, born James Scott Bumgarner on April 7, 1928, in a tiny settlement outside Norman, Oklahoma. A kid with no mother, an abusive stepmother, and not a single reason to believe life would get better. But this quiet kid from Oklahoma would star in two of the most iconic television shows ever made. He'd stand alongside Steve McQueen in The Great Escape. He'd race real Formula One cars at speeds that terrified professional drivers. He'd sue the most powerful studios in Hollywood twice, win both times, and change entertainment law for every actor who came after him. And at age 76, he'd make an entire generation weep in The Notebook. If you remember Brett Maverick's sly grin, or Jim Rockford's gold Firebird tearing down the Pacific Coast Highway, then you already know this man mattered. But I promise you, you don't know the half of it. Here are 10 moments that prove James Garner's real life was more unbelievable than any character he ever played. Number 1. James Garner, the parking space that changed Hollywood. Around 1953, a man named James Bumgarner was driving a beat-up van down La Cienega Boulevard in Los Angeles. He was 25 years old, a carpet layer, no agent, no ambition. He'd already burned through more than 50 different jobs. Roughneck, truck driver, dishwasher, janitor, lifeguard. He'd even worked at a chick hatchery. He later said, "Don't ever do that. That's a terrible job." He was a Korean War veteran with 2 Purple Hearts and absolutely no idea what to do with his life. Then he spotted a sign, Paul Gregory and Associates. Gregory was a man he'd befriended years earlier when Garner pumped gas and Gregory worked a soda fountain nearby. At that exact moment, a car pulled out of a parking space in front of the building. On a whim, Garner pulled in. Gregory, now a theatrical producer, talked him into acting. He gave Garner a non-speaking role, one of 6 silent Navy officers, in a touring production of The Kane Mutiny Court-Martial, starring Henry Fonda. The play reached Broadway in January 1954 and ran for 415 performances. Every night, Garner stood in the wings studying Fonda, how he moved, how he paused. He later admitted, "I swiped practically all my acting style from him." He signed a Warner Brothers contract at $150 per week. The studio changed his name from Bumgarner to Garner without even asking. Within 3 years, that anonymous carpet layer was starring in one of the biggest shows on television, all because of a parking space on La Cienega Boulevard. Number 2, James Garner, the anti-hero who destroyed Ed Sullivan. Maverick premiered on ABC on September 22, 1957. Sunday night, 7:30 p.m., deliberately scheduled against the juggernauts, CBS's Ed Sullivan Show and NBC's Steve Allen Show. But creator Roy Huggins built a cowboy hero who was a coward. Well, Brett Maverick was a card sharp who preferred running to fighting. He quoted folksy wisdom from his old pappy. He had what Garner described as a little larceny, and Garner played him with lazy, self-amused charm that audiences had never seen in a Western. Garner said it best, "I'm playing me. Brett Maverick is lazy. I'm lazy, and I like being lazy." The show parodied other Westerns openly, lampooning Gunsmoke, spoofing Dragnet, mocking Bonanza by name. Writer Marion Hargrove inserted a stage direction that changed the entire tone of the series. Maverick looks at him with his beady little eyes. Other writers followed suit. What started as a straight Western became the first comedy Western on American television. In the 1958 to 59 season, Maverick finished number 6 in the annual Nielsen ratings. Number 6 in all of America. Ed Sullivan's show, previously a top 10 fixture, barely cracked the top 30. The decline was attributed directly to Maverick's dominance of Sunday night. And Garner's salary for starring in the number 6 show in America? $1,750 per week, while performers on least successful shows earned 50 times as much. No profit share, no back end, no nothing. He later said he felt like a ham in a smokehouse, owned, hung up, and slowly cured for someone else's benefit. James Garner was making Warner Brothers a fortune, and they were treating him like hired help. Number 3. James Garner, the real race car driver. Hollywood tried to fake. Most actors who play race car drivers can barely parallel park. James Garner was not most actors. In 1966, your racing instructor Bob Bondurant tested all the actors for Grand Prix at Riverside Raceway above 150 miles per hour. One by one, they struggled, white-knuckled, hit the brakes too early, came back terrified. Then Garner took the car out. He came back laughing like an excited child. Bondurant pointed at him and said, "This is your man." Garner did all his own driving. At 6'3", he was physically too large for a Formula One cockpit. The seat was removed, and he sat on the bare frame with just a towel. He lost 20 pounds to fit. He performed his own fire stunt at Brands Hatch. The film won 3 Academy Awards and grossed $20.8 million. But he didn't stop racing. He founded American International Racing and competed at Daytona and Sebring. He came second in the Baja 1000. He won the Riverside Grand Prix, despite flipping his car near the finish. He was so far ahead, he still won. He drove the pace car at the Indianapolis 500 3 times. Bondurant's final assessment? Garner could have competed on an actual Formula One team, a carpet layer from Oklahoma who could have been a professional race car driver, and he treated it like a hobby. Number 4. James Garner, shot by his own side in Korea, 1950. James Garner became the first person drafted from Oklahoma for the Korean War, assigned to the 5th Regimental Combat Team, 24th Infantry Division, a rifleman. 14 months in combat, wounded twice. His first Purple Heart came on approximately his second day in country. Enemy mortar shrapnel to the face and hand. Most men would have used that as a ticket home. Garner went back to the line. The second wound is the one that tells you everything about war. On April 21st, 1951, United States fighter jets strafed his position. Friendly fire. Garner dove headfirst into a foxhole. A fraction of a second too slow. Shrapnel hit him in the backside. He told Good Morning America, "I got it in the backside. I went into a foxhole head first, and I was a little late. There's a lot of room for error with a wound in the rear. It's a wide target." Shot by his own military, and cracking jokes about it on national television. But due to an administrative error, Garner did not receive his second Purple Heart until 1983, 32 years later. The mix-up was only discovered after he told the story on Good Morning America, and host David Hartman personally contacted the Army. At the ceremony, Garner said, "After 32 years, it's better to receive this now than posthumously." One more Korea story. On guard duty one night, Garner caught the faint scent of garlic on the wind. He violently hated garlic, hypersensitive to it. He knew North Korean and Chinese troops ate fish heads, rice, and garlic. He heard voices over a rise, passed the word down the line. His unit stopped an enemy patrol before it could attack. James Garner's nose may have saved his entire platoon. Records of this combat unit's engagements are documented. And given everything else this man survived, I'd say his nose earned its own Purple Heart. He earned the Combat Infantryman Badge, 2 Purple Hearts, a National Defense Service Medal, Korean Service Medal, with 3 service stars, and both U.S. and Republic of Korea Presidential Unit citations. His attitude toward war never softened. And he wrote, "I refuse to glorify violence in my movie and television roles." The man who'd been shot by both sides had no illusions about either. Number 5. James Garner, the lawsuit that rewrote Hollywood law. Mid-January 1960, the Writers Guild went on strike. Warner Brothers had already completed all Maverick production for the season, plus an extra episode. No production shortfall whatsoever. But on March 2nd, 1960, the studio invoked force majeure and suspended Garner's salary, claiming a casualty period that did not exist. Within 1 week, Garner objected, demanded payment, was refused, and declared the contract terminated. A contract actor telling one of the most powerful studios in Hollywood the deal was over. In 1960, Warner Brothers sued him. He countersued. And then the court discovered The Truth, Warner Brothers, and had 14 writers still working during the supposed strike, writing under the pseudonym W. Hermanos, which is Spanish for W. Brothers. The studio was pretending to be shut down, while writers worked under a name that literally translated to their own company name. Jack Warner personally testified that the previous year, the show had no completed scripts as late as June 15th and still met its September air date. The court found the studio acted in bad faith. Garner won. The California Court of Appeal affirmed it in 1961. The case, Warner Brothers versus Bumgarner, established that studios could not invoke force majeure when production wasn't actually disrupted. Entertainment attorney Neville Johnson later wrote it remains good precedent today. Garner's words, "I felt like a ham in a smokehouse. If I had a failure, I wanted it to be my failure." He was briefly graylisted. Then William Wyler hired him for the Children's Hour opposite Audrey Hepburn, and James Garner was free, but not finished with courtrooms. Number 6. James Garner, married in 14 days and never looked back. August 1st, 1956. A barbecue doubling as an Adlai Stevenson rally. James Garner saw Lois Clark across the room. He wrote, "It was love at first sight. The Thunderbolt." They went to dinner every night for 14 straight days. On August 17th, exactly 14 days after meeting, they married at the Beverly Hills courthouse. Garner spent $77 on the honeymoon, and it about broke him. He stood 6'3". She was reportedly 4'8". He was Methodist. She was Jewish. His family objected. Hollywood marriages were already crumbling at twice the national average. Garner wrote, "What they saw as weaknesses, we saw as strengths." Lois had a daughter named Kimberly, recovering from polio. Garner adopted her without hesitation. Their daughter Gigi was born January 4th, 1958. They survived 2 separations, both caused by the Rockford Files grinding him into dust. Garner was honest. 99% of the problem was Rockford. It wasn't us. It was me needing to get my head together. They reconciled in 1981 and never separated again. 58 years from a $77 honeymoon, through 2 hit shows, 50 movies, 2 lawsuits, a quintuple bypass, a stroke, and both knees replaced. About marriage, Garner quipped, "Marriage is like the army. Everyone complains, but you'd be surprised at the large number who re-enlist." Number 7. James Garner. The FBI told him not to march. He marched. August 28th, 1963. The March on Washington. The night before, an FBI agent called every major Hollywood star who'd signed up. The message was clear. You will not be protected. James Garner showed up. He was photographed walking hand in hand with black actress Dia Han Carroll, a white man holding a black woman's hand, in 1963. When that image could end a career overnight, he sat in the 3rd row for Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. He marched alongside Belafonte, Poitier, Lancaster, Heston, Newman, and Sammy Davis Jr. He called himself a card-carrying liberal and proud of it. When Republicans asked him to run for office in 1962, he said he was a Democrat. They said they didn't care. He declined. Asked about running for governor of California in 1990, he said, "There's one difference between me and the actors who did run. I know I'm not qualified." He served on the Screen Actors Guild Board. He was a member of the Native American Rights Fund. He was the main benefactor of African-American sculptor Richmond Barthé from 1977 until Barthé's death. James Garner didn't just play heroes, he was one. When the FBI was watching, when the cameras weren't his. Number 8. James Garner. The Rockford Files and the body it destroyed. Born by accident during the 1973 writers' strike. Roy Huggins, the same man who created Maverick, needed a fill-in character, flipped through a directory, and declared, "The name of the show is The Rockford Files." He read the script and saw it was the Maverick of private eye shows. Since Maverick starred Garner, he sent it over. The series premiered September 13th, 1974. 6 seasons, 123 episodes. A Jim Rockford was like nothing on television. An ex-con living in a trailer at Paradise Cove. storing his gun in a cookie jar, charging $200 a day plus expenses. Each episode opened with Rockford's answering machine, deadbeat clients, angry creditors, ex-girlfriends. The car was a Pontiac Firebird in a custom Rockford gold color chosen by Garner himself. Garner won the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actor in 1977. The show won Outstanding Drama Series in 1978. Writer David Chase wrote 20 episodes. His Jersey Bounce gangster episodes were direct precursors to The Sopranos, but it was destroying him. He performed most of his own stunts, including the signature Rockford turn at 35 miles an hour. He underwent 6 or 7 knee operations during the run, a knee surgery every hiatus for 5 straight years. He fell down a flight of stairs in season 2 and shredded a recently operated knee. His doctor ordered rest. Universal's response? Legal proceedings for breach of contract. After he missed 1 day, he developed a bleeding ulcer in 1979. The accumulated damage, knees, back, ulcer, stress, finally broke him. The show was canceled mid-season when his physicians demanded he stop. Both knees were replaced in 2000. Nobody had asked him to do those stunts. He just believed that if Rockford was driving that Firebird, it had better be Garner behind the wheel. The man gave the show his body, and then the studio tried to take his money. Number 9, James Garner, the $14 million war on creative accounting. Filed October 11th, 1983. James Garner sued Universal for $22.5 million. Cherokee Productions was entitled to 37.5% of net profits from Rockford. The show had generated $119 million in gross revenue. Garner had received $250,000, so he went on 60 Minutes. And on national television, he revealed what was hiding in the production ledger. Universal had purchased the same car from itself 4 separate times, each at a different price, all charged to the Rockford budget. That was the moment James Garner gave Hollywood a phrase it would never forget: creative accounting. He rejected a $6 million settlement in April 1989. The case settled for a reported $14 million. He sued Universal again in 1998 for another $2.2 million in syndication royalties. The comeback? 8 reunion movies on CBS between 1994 and 1999. The first, I Still Love L.A., became the highest-rated TV movie of the 1994 to 95 season. 18.5 rating, 17.6 million households. America still cared. Most actors who get cheated grumble at dinner parties. Garner read the ledgers, hired the lawyers, went on 60 Minutes, and collected $14 million. He once said about dealing with studios, "I'm not a litigious person, but when somebody steals from me, I become one real fast." The precedent he set, that net profit participants have the right to audit studio books, protects every actor, writer, and producer who signs a back-end deal today. Number 10, James Garner, the boy they called Louise. This is the story that everything else comes from. Norman, Oklahoma, early 1930s. His father, Weldon, ran a hardware store on a country road. No indoor plumbing. His mother, Mildred, half Cherokee, died in 1933 when James was 4 or 5 years old. The 3 brothers were split apart and sent to different relatives. The family store burned down. Garner admitted in his autobiography that his father may have set the fire for insurance money. Then Weldon remarried, a woman named Wilma. The boys called her Red. She beat all 3 brothers with anything within reach. But the worst thing she did to young James, she forced him to wear a dress in public, and she made everyone in town call him Louise, a small Oklahoma town in the Depression. A little boy in a girl's dress walking down a dirt road while grown adults call him by a name that isn't his, not because he chose it, because a cruel woman decided humiliation was discipline. Garner wrote, "Now they'd put that woman in jail for what she did to us." But in those days, nobody cared. Nobody cared. Nobody stopped it. Nobody pulled that dress off that boy and told him he was worth something. But at age 14, James Bumgarner had enough. He knocked her down, grabbed her by the throat, and choked her until she stopped swinging. She left that house and never came back. His brother Jack said it plainly. She was a damn no-good woman. At 16, James lied about his age and joined the Merchant Marine. He got out, left Norman, left the dress, left Louise behind, and that broken boy became one of the most naturally charming men who ever appeared on a screen. He won Emmys. He was nominated for an Oscar, Murphy's Romance, 1985, a role Columbia Pictures didn't want him for. Sally Field threatened to walk off the picture to get him cast. Director Martin Ritt said, "He's been underrated for a long, long time." The film grossed $30.9 million. Field later said their on-screen kiss was the best she'd ever experienced. He punched a heckler at the Bing Crosby Pro-Am for yelling Rockford while his partner was pudding. He owned a 400-acre vineyard and bottled Chardonnay called Chateau Gimbeau. He admitted smoking marijuana for 50 years and said, "I've concluded that marijuana should be legal and alcohol illegal." On his 68th birthday, he shot a 67 at Bel Air Country Club, beating his age by a stroke. James Garner died July 19, 2014, age 86, heart attack, at home in Brentwood. Sally Field. There are few people on this planet I have adored as much as Jimmy Garner. He was a diamond. Clint Eastwood said Garner opened the door for people like Steve McQueen and myself. When Morgan Freeman won the SAG Award over Garner at the 2005 ceremony, Freeman led the entire audience in singing the Maverick theme song. At his own Lifetime Achievement acceptance, Garner said, "I don't know if I deserve this award, but please, for tonight, you'll forgive me if I act like I do." Today, a 10-foot bronze statue of Brett Maverick stands in Norman, Oklahoma, on James Garner Plaza, along James Garner Avenue, in the same town where a little boy once walked down the street in a dress, answering to a name that wasn't his. They called him Louise. He answered to nobody. If this story hit you the way it hit me, drop a comment telling me which moment surprised you most. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. The stories we tell here are the ones Hollywood forgot, and the ones that deserve to be remembered. I'll see you in the next one.